in that moment, I made a decision, not this way. I'm Stacey Berger, transformational coach in both life and business. Prior to becoming certified as a coach and starting my business, I had a 16-year career in corporate. By all measures of success, living a wonderful life. Had climbed the corporate ladder, was in an executive position, married to my best friend, living in my dream home. From the outside looking in, life was really good. And for a long time, I loved that life. And within me, I just had this deeper longing for more time freedom. Personally, now had 3 young kids and was missing some important moments with my kids. There were mornings where I was headed out the door, they're in bed, coming home to a dark house, they're back in bed, and really wanted to be not only successful in my career, but also successful as a mom. My husband, Jeff, was a stay-at-home dad. I'm the breadwinner for the family. And there was a big part of me that felt stuck in a life that was no longer serving me and no longer life-giving. And as much as I had this desire for something more, I had no idea how I was going to accomplish it. It didn't feel practical. It didn't feel realistic. I thought people would look at me like I'm crazy if I left this career and started something new. And so I stayed in that hamster wheel for a long time, and really in so many ways waiting for it to be easier, waiting for the kids to be older, waiting for more money in the bank, waiting for it to be more comfortable. But the longer I waited, the longer it felt like I was really leaving my soul at the door and doing work that wasn't life-giving, wasn't meaningful. And there was a moment in time where I just said enough. I don't know what it was in that moment, but I was just sick and tired of not being happy. In that moment, I made a decision. I had no idea how it was going to work out, but I knew that I needed to do something different. The decision was really for myself. It was for my family. The decision was that I was going to do work that I loved and be there for my kids and my family in the way that I wanted to be there. And again, I had no idea how that was going to happen. But on the other side of that decision, I began the process of ending that 16-year career. And all sorts of things started to happen. Discovered this life coaching certification program that I knew had my name on it. And on the other side of that desire for greater time freedom, I wanted to make a bigger impact in the world. I started my own business. And it was scary and it was exciting. And I really went to work. And I would say I was very much in that hustle energy. I was working long hours. I was doing everything I knew how to do to make this thing a success because I had to put food on the table for my family of 5. I was highly motivated. And so I worked, and as a result of that, had some success in that first year. But it came at the cost of really my health. I was putting in long hours. I had this desire for greater time freedom, but here I am working more hours, seeing my kids even less. And for somebody, I was never motivated by money, but all of a sudden I'm worrying about money all the time. Is this gonna work? Are we gonna be able to pay our mortgage? What if this doesn't happen? And the stress, the anxiety of all of that started to impact my health. And I could feel myself, I knew something was wrong, but I also said, I don't have time to be sick. I don't have time to get this checked out. But that health started to decline more and more and more, and eventually it put me in the hospital. Jeff brings our kids to visit one day, and I'm in the wheelchair. I've got the IV hooked up to my arm, and the kids come around the corner, and my daughter, who was 1 year old at the time, she comes around the corner, she looks at me, and she bursts into tears and runs the other direction. That was a powerful moment for me. It was in that moment that I made another decision for myself, and that decision was not this way. There has to be another way to produce the results that I want. I longed for more time freedom, that financial freedom, to be successful in my career and to be there for my kids. And here I am, my kids are scared of me and I'm in the hospital, and I just went, not this way. And here's what I know, on the other side of those decision moments, that's when providence moves to. I had no idea how I was going to change that pattern. I had no idea how I was going to create new results. The only thing I knew is that in order to be successful, I had to work longer, harder, faster. That was a pattern that was well installed in me through my entire life. My parents were small business owners. They worked 6 or 7 days a week, 10, 12, 14-hour days. So the way that I knew how to get results and to have success was put in more hours, simply work longer, harder, faster, and then you'll get those results. I had no idea how to change that. I didn't know if that was even possible, but I knew that that's what I wanted for myself. I also knew I couldn't do it on my own. And so on the other side of that decision, I got some more help. I reached out to a mentor, to a coach, to somebody else who had achieved what I wanted and knew some things about achieving results that I didn't. It was very impactful to see the results of that decision. Inside of that next year, I doubled my income working half the hours. And I've continued to increase my impact, increase my income, and decrease the amount of time and effort that's been required to achieve that. Inside of that experience and those results, I have learned some things that have been truly impactful. And the way that I was able to do that, to produce that new result, there's 2 pieces that are so key. One is the mindset, and the second is the strategy or the action. I was really good at action and taking action and getting it done and making that to-do list and checking things off. Where I had really fallen off was on the mindset. I had changed my position, but what I hadn't done is I hadn't changed my internal mindset or paradigm around the work longer, harder, faster as the only way to create results. So with the support of a mentor and coaching, I started to make some decisions and mindset changes around the ability to produce success without more effort. That next year, on the other side of that decision, I doubled my income working half the hours. I did not do that on my own. I knew that I didn't know how to do that on my own. So I reached out to coaches, mentors, structures of support. I hired a coach who had accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, who had a greater awareness around creating results. And I expanded my own awareness and replaced that pattern of working longer, harder, faster with having greater ease and flow and impact in my life while having that time freedom that I really desired. In order to do that, I had to shift both my mindset and my strategy. And a few things on the mindset piece that were really important for me was to reconnect to what would I love. I had become so worried about the money and is this going to work and am I going to provide for my family? And I really had to shift my mindset back to impact. And what I really wanted was to make a difference in people's lives and on this planet. And as I reconnected to impact, what I know is that when we're focused on impact, our income follows that. So reconnecting to what it was that I would love. I also changed and repatterned that belief system around work longer, harder, faster by being more committed to my morning practice, to the being, not just the doing. I was really good at my to-do list and taking action and being in that hustle, but I had lost sight on my meditation, my journaling, who am I being, how am I showing up, really calming my mind to be more productive. And I have a tool for you today on how you can do that for yourself. So reconnecting to the vision, reconnecting to the beingness, really calming my nervous system, connecting to that higher power was really important. It also took repetition. I did not change that overnight. I mentioned that I had years and years, decades of programming around working longer, harder, faster. It took time and it took repetition to really install that new higher order of thinking. It also required me putting myself in immersion experiences. I went to high-end masterminds, retreats, places where I could remove myself from the day-to-day busyness and put myself in a higher order of thinking with a community of people who were up to big things. So the repetition, those immersion experiences, having the structure of support, reconnecting to the vision. And on the action side of it, I had to take some significant action that felt really scary. One of the first things that I did on the other side of that decision inside my calendar was I blocked off my evenings and my weekends. The decision was I wanted more time freedom, and so that meant I'm no longer working evenings and I'm no longer working weekends. I blocked that in my calendar. I didn't see the results of that immediately, but within a very short period of time, as I was working with my mindset, my action items, I was no longer working evenings and weekends. As a result of shifting both my mindset as well as those actions, not only was I working less, but I was able to increase my income because I was attracting new opportunities to me. With that new mindset and new perception, I began to attract more clients. I began to create different content and see new opportunities because I was no longer operating under fear. And so while my time in decreased, that impact, which was really important to me, and the income followed that, increased. The decisions that I made for myself really came out of a place of both longing for more in my life, longing for more time freedom, longing to be available to my family in the way that I wanted to be. The other decision came from a place of desperation. I mean, I was in the hospital. What I know is that we don't have to wait for those moments of desperation. We can create that transformation on our own. And what's required is a decision. A decision for your vision, a decision where you're saying, I don't want to do life this way anymore. I'm making a decision for a new way of being. I'm making a decision for a new way of living. And we make that decision in the absence of knowing how. It's so easy to want all the answers. Well, what's my new business going to be? What's the new job going to be? How am I going to make the money? And we want the whole path laid out. But as long as we're waiting for the whole path, we continue to wait. And guess what? Time goes by. What I've really come to understand in over a decade inside of this coaching business, really 20 years of studying transformational principles, is what's required to create transformation is decision energy. Making a decision for what's important to you in the absence of knowing how, in the absence of it being convenient, in the absence of it being comfortable. And what I know to be true is that on the other side of that decision, that's when providence moves to. And so what are you ready to decide for? What are you deciding for today? What are you deciding for yourself, for your dreams, for your family? What's important to you? If you're anything like me, you are really efficient and you're really good at the action items. You've got your to-do list, you are hustling, you're doing everything you know how to do, and we can create some results that way. However, there is a much easier way to produce results in your life, and it starts with the mindset and the beingness. So to support you in moving from the hustle energy to more flow and freedom in your life, I've created a daily journaling practice for you that really sets your mindset up for success. It will help you to stay more connected to your vision, what's important to you, and to really relax that nervous system so you have access to new ideas. You attract new opportunities to you. So if you're ready to move from that hustling, work harder, longer, faster energy to really be in a greater flow energy, maybe your goal is to double your income working half the hours this year, go ahead and download that daily journaling practice and watch what starts to open up in your life. I'm Stacey Berger, and here is to you living a life that you love.